introduce you like you need one, but let's give you a short introduction and we'll talk about the new record. I am here with Doug Cosmo Clifford, drummer for the legendary Creedence Clearwater Revival, of course. Cos was also a member of Creedence Clearwater Revisited with much success for more than 25 years. He is set to release the follow-up to his Magic Window solo album from the Vault recordings, and we'll talk about those again. This one was recorded with Greg Kihn member Steve Wright and goes under the name Clifford Wright. It is titled All the Money in the World, and it comes out on August 27th. And again, Doug, thanks so much.
Oh, my pleasure, Scott.
These songs were recorded in that Vault series, and again, we'll go through that. You found these recordings in the garage, your studio above the garage, right? And they were recorded in 1986. Quite the treasure you found, wasn't it?
Well, sometimes you get lucky, and I was really lucky on this group of. There were several, actually, about maybe 5-6 albums worth with various artists, and the fact that it even played we were able to make that work by baking the tapes. It's a technique that you can either make brownies or make classic records. So I chose classic records.
You sure did. Now, I know were all the tapes baked? I know we talked about Magic Window baking those tapes. These tapes, all the tapes had to be baked, right? Correct?
They all did, yeah, because of just the fact that they were 35 plus years old. And the makeup of audio tape from back then has different components in it, and they all have to be working. Yeah, I could have put it on a reel to reel and tested it that way, but you're really asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Because if something happens by the time you hit that off button, you've done a lot of damage.
Yeah. And then it's gone.
Yeah, it's not coming back.
It's not coming back. But you all of these survived. Did you lose any material in the baking process?
Not a one. And
wow.
Just it was meant to be, and there are others. I've got an album with Bobby Whitlock in there, Louis Ortega from the Sir Douglas Quintet, Doug Sahm himself from the Sir Douglas Quintet. Another solo project of mine is in there. So there are some goodies still lurking.
Wow, that's really great news. I absolutely love Magic Window, and this album is a little bit different. Of course, you have Steve Wright on there. But I noticed in the last one, it sounded like it was from that era with the drum kit, especially. You had the Simmons toms. I don't hear that on this one. Did you use a regular acoustic kit?
Yes, I used my stock kit, and it was before the Simmons craze. And I've been playing a standard drum set most of my career. And when the Simmons tom-toms came out, it was all the rage. And I thought, well, I'm going to step it up and be a modern guy and throw those tom-toms in there. They're okay for what they did, but if I had my druthers, I would have used a standard kit.
Yeah, and this has that different sound. It has a more traditional sound, whereas Magic Window sounded like it was from that time. Very different. What is the biggest difference for you with this record as opposed to Magic Window, in the recording process or the writing process?
Well, the writing process was the same between Steve and myself. That's how we started the project. He's from El Cerrito. I'm from El Cerrito. Creedence was founded in El Cerrito. That's where we grew up. And he was quite a bit younger, and I went to school with his his older brother, but he was a year younger than Stu and Tom and I, and John and I. And he came to my house and knocked on the door and introduced himself. And I said, "Oh, I can see the likeness between you and your brother." And I knew that he had success with Greg Kihn. I said, "Congratulations on that." And he just wanted to meet me, and in a lot of ways, I took over from his brother died of an overdose, and so I kind of stepped in to fill that void, and as best I could. Plus, have a music project with a pretty talented guy, to say the least. So that's how that got started. And we had written some songs, and I said, we ought to record these and have them. And when I would record something like that, a demo, if you will, showing off your songwriting abilities for a record label to have some interest. That was the whole idea of it.
Right.
I approach it. I'm the producer in all this stuff. I approach it like a producer making a record for a label or something, for an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't just throw it together or have him play an acoustic guitar and then sing the melody and said, "Well, that's the demo, and you ought to hear what it's going to sound like once it's recorded correctly."
Right.
Why not just do it the right way, off the bat? So that's the approach that we took.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because it sounds great. It's a regular recording. You have Keith England singing on this one, where you sang everything on Magic Window. Why bring in Keith to sing on this one?
Well, it was actually the other way around. The Keith came first, and then after the Clifford Wright project sort of didn't stop, basically, we started doing other things. That's when I said, "Oh, I'll do a solo thing. Maybe I can get a deal, because it's hard out there." So that's why Keith is a terrific singer, terrific young man. He was very respectful of me, and I would have to be the guy that would come and sing the songs, because I did all the lyrics and wrote a lot of the melodies and the verses of the songs, most of them actually. So I would come and sing to this great voice. I kind of I'm sorry I have to do this.
I don't know. I thought you sounded great on Magic Window. I really did. And I know you're not a fan of your own voice. That's been documented for sure. But you spent a lot of time on the vocals for that record, and I think they sound great.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time. I had my first solo album back in '72 was an experiment. Actually, it wasn't a work of art, and so I didn't spend a lot of time practicing my singing voice for that project. I just gathered a band and we tested the factory out as a recording studio, and it passed the test. So it was really more of an experiment. Magic Window, on the other hand, was going to be a singer-songwriter project. So I had the songs. I had to just get my singing voice in order, and I'm happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah, definitely. You did get it in order, that's for sure. Now, you told me last time that you like to write with only one writer, and that was Steve Wright, obviously, for this project. And you do that because they bring something that you don't have, and you bring something that they don't have. Right. What does Steve have that you don't have?
Well, he's really good at picking melodies, and he's a great bass player. So he was, I would, when I write by myself, I use the piano, but I'm not a tickle the ivories pianist. I'm a hunt and pecker, pardon the expression. and that's how I would write it because I don't play guitar, and so I use the piano as a melodic tool in the songwriting process.
Sure.
So, that's how that went. But Steve had, for example, the single and the title track For All the Money in the World. Uh, uh, we would get together, and I would lay a groove down, and he would come in with something, or he would come in with something, and I'd lay a groove to that. So we'd have the sort of the rhythm section approach, which is the foundation. It's a good place to start, and then from there, depending on the time that we would spend, we would try to get as many ideas down as possible, and I would record that very, very basically, but with a cassette machine on the floor. That's what I used to do with Creedence in the rehearsal area. Songs that I needed to do work on. I would have that little guy next to me where I could hear all the instruments. Oddly enough, some of it sounded pretty good with it for a little cassette on the floor, but that was the note taking. So we'd gather up all the ideas that we had there, and I would go home and I had a 4-track, and I would put the note taker track down, and then I'd have 3 tracks to try different ideas out on, and then I could go back and forth and see which one was going to work out best. Doing homework, basically. I did it throughout Creedence, and it's a good way to do your homework, basically.
Yeah.
And so he came in and said, "Listen to this," and he said, "For all the money," and he had actually the lyric line, and of course the changes for that chorus of that song, which is the song.
Yeah.
In essence,
so strong. Yeah.
I said that's a hit. That is a hit. So I had to come up with the verse parts, but knowing that I had this AAA chorus from Steve, and I really wanted to do the very, very best. I always want to do the best I can, but I knew I had something really special in my hands at that point, and worked on it and came up with the melody for the verses, and then came up with the ideas to capitalize on the choruses, and it turned out just terrific.
Yeah, he would be extremely honored with it. I'll tell you, because
I know
it is beautiful. Yeah, it is really something. You have a particular guitar player here that a lot of people will probably know his name, Mr. Joe Satriani, on this record on 4 of the tracks. Tell me about your initial meeting and your thoughts about Joe, because he was young, very young at that time, and a new gunslinger, if you will. Yeah. And have you talked to Joe about the release?
Well, I haven't, and I've been trying to get a hold of him through his manager, which is the best way. And he hasn't returned my calls. I don't know if he's likes it or doesn't like it, and I'm going to continue to try and contact him. I have things that I'd like to help promote anything that he's working on now. You don't have to talk about this record. You can talk about what you're going to be doing. I'm making that available for you. And they said, well, he's not doing any promoting right now. And that's a manager, and I'm just kind of wondering, is he? And then he said he's recording, and so when he's recording, he doesn't answer anything. Well, it's been a long time, since I started this thing. So I don't know. Eventually, I'd like to get to just say hi. I haven't seen him in probably 20 years, 30 years. So yet to have contacted him and been in touch with him. But I'm going to continue try to do that. Everybody else I've talked to, they're thrilled about it. They had no idea that it would sound as good as it did, because they didn't really, I didn't come and play these things for the guys. I went to record companies with them to try and get deals. And when a deal wasn't there, then I would put it in the vault and we would write more songs and go back and record. So yeah, I got Jimmy Lyon on there as a guitar player, and Greg Douglas. And interestingly enough, all three of those guys at one point or time or another played guitar in the Greg Kihn Band.
That's what I thought. Yeah, including Joe. Yeah,
including Joe.
Yeah, quite the band Greg Kihn was.
Yeah,
pretty incredible. Great players go through there for sure. Go ahead.
I know that he's working on an album. I've talked with him briefly. He's been pretty busy, so I'm going to let him alone and give him some time to get working on that album, and then I'll touch back, get back in touch with Greg. Maybe he'll be able to get a hold of Joe as well.
Yeah. What were your initial thoughts with Joe upon seeing him?
Well, he wasn't famous yet, so he was a guitar player, and that was the one spot we didn't have. We had the rhythm section. We had two different keyboard guys over the period of a year or so or more, and the great ones. And so it was an audition because we were auditioning for guitar players and a recording session at the same time. So I had, I needed guitar work. Everybody said he was great, and I said, okay, that sounds good. And so brought him in for that, and he's used to being the guy in the front playing all the notes, and I'm coming at it from a little bit of different perspective. The role now is to support the vocal and support the vocalist, and then solo is solo time, and make sure that you use the melody in the solos, however slightly, but we need to always keep that in the song, and that's also supporting the vocalist, so the solo can go seamlessly from start to finish, and the vocal takes over again. So I said, maybe play a little bit less, and just kind of think that there's a hole here. We can talk about it. That one needs to be a hole. But there's a spot over here. Put something there, but try and keep it somewhere melodically around the melody. And so he's a very smart guy, and he picked up on that and did a great job. And at the end of the session, he said, "I learned something today," and that really told me this is a quality guy. Yeah. I hope he says that he'll be joining. But he said something to the effect that he wanted to do an instrumental metal album, and all of us in the room at that time who were there, we looked at each other and rolled our eyes. Good luck with that. He got the last laugh on that one. He went surfing with some aliens, what I mean?
It's pretty crazy what his success has become. It's great. It's great to see. He's quite the player.
Oh, he's the guy and that owns that, my recollection is that he also helped Steve Vai as a mentor / teacher, and so be able to do that is you got to be good.
Yeah, no doubt, and he's taught and mentored quite a few, from what I understand. Kirk Hammett from Metallica, all of those big guns. he's something. He really is, and it's great to have him on this record. I
Oh,
really.
I'm thrilled. I'd like to, get a hold of him and just say thanks. I, I really hope you like it. It's not your normal cup of tea, but what you did on it was terrific, and we're fortunate to have four of your takes on this. That's almost it's almost 40% of the guitar work.
Yeah, pretty great. Pretty great. Um, Now I heard you're planning to release all of these on your own label, Cliff Songs Records,
Well,
and they'll start to be part of a series, Cosmo's Vaults,
yes.
which is really great. That's cool. Tell me about the decision to have your own label. There's complications that come with that, but there's also, there's the good and the bad with that, I think, right?
There's more good than the bad.
Yeah.
I've been on a record label for 60 years, and particularly, and that company has been sold to Concord Records, and that's worked out better because they understand promotion, and they understand that in order to promote, you have to spend money on marketing, advertising, and so on and so forth. Whereas originally Fantasy Records didn't do any of that.
Yeah.
And thanks God for radio, because if it wasn't for radio, we wouldn't be talking right now.
Right.
It was radio that broke Creedence and has stayed with us for 53 years. And that was the wish and dream that the three of us had, John, Stu, and I, when we started the band when we were 13, is to someday have our records played on the radio. They've been playing them for 53 years.
Yes, they have, quite regularly.
Thank you, radio. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say you can't put on a radio anywhere in the world pretty much and not hear a Creedence song. So it's pretty special.
Well, it is special, and I hear it all the time, especially when I'm at the grocery store. And somehow, some way, usually I'm in the produce department, so I could be looking for a really good red bell pepper to throw in my salad, and there comes Bad Moon Rising.
I think they see you when you come in the door,
Well,
it's like,
I hear Bad Moon Rising and I have a pepper in my hand, I put that pepper back.
It's special. It really is something special to be a part of that and have your dreams come true, and so in such a huge fashion.
Yeah, far beyond our wildest dreams, actually.
And
then to have a second career with Revisited.
Yep.
We retired that just about the time the pandemic came in. It looked like we knew what we were doing. There's going to be a pandemic, and they're going to stop doing concerts for a couple of years. Yeah. It was a time that we had Stu and I had chosen to say sayonara. We gave our guys a year as notice so they could do find other work, and we had a great run, 25 years, and we were hoping to get maybe 3 or 4 out of it.
Yeah,
go figure.
Life throws curveballs. They sure does. But we got to talk about Woodstock, of course. When we talked about that last time, in the helicopter coming up over that hill, seeing all those people, that's your biggest memory of that day. And I think about when you guys played. You played so late. You came on after the Dead. John always said that the Dead prolonged their set so people would be sleeping or not interested in your set. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I don't think that there was any intention or a plan to sabotage us. They were just so wrecked on acid that they couldn't really function. So
right,
it was their modus operandi. That's who they are. To me, they're more of a cult than a band, and that's just my take on it. and they did what they do, and it took two extra hours, and so we got on very late,
Yeah.
and also there was some difficulty with rain and water and electronics. A little scary on that part of it. I was really glad that I didn't have to come up and sing in a microphone
Mm.
and put your lips on that screen and get a.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, it was a for us. It's all about the work. We do things, did the things the opposite way, straight and sober. And if the music doesn't get you high, go home and teach history,
Yeah.
or be a coach somewhere. Uh, so yeah, I don't know how our crew got in. To this day, I don't know how they did it, but they're resourceful lads, and they got in with the gear.
Unbelievable.
Who knows? And I don't know how they got out. We got out with a farm boy who had snow tires on the back of it. There was no four-wheel drive, so it was rear-wheel
Right.
drive. He had snow tires, and that's what would get him through mud. And and he could go where no other vehicle could go. He got us out, and we had $100 bill and said, "We'll give you this if you get us out." And his eyes got pretty big and got us out, and we gave him the $100, and we went to the next gig in New Jersey.
Wow. Crazy.
Played that night, the next night with the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band for 3,500 people.
Had to seem minuscule at the time.
It was really just kind of funny. But we had never missed a gig, and we weren't going to say, "Oh, we'll just hang out and party," and no one will know that. We'll just say we couldn't get out. Well, we could get out, and we did, and we played the date the next day. So
Crazy. Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
getting to the gig was an adventure. I remember, not missing that one. Thank God you didn't, of course. But yeah, that was quite the adventure as well.
Yeah. Well, first of all, we were going to fly into a small airport very close to the venue, and then get in a van and drive into the gig as we had always done. But people just got out of their cars and left. So the roads were useless and they're impassable, and people came, and there was a lot more people there than they had planned for, needless to say, maybe 10, 20 times that amount. And it didn't take long. The fences came down. Just they quit taking tickets. Everybody come on in, and that part of it was pretty cool. Seeing people playing in the mud like kids and having. I never saw a frown or heard any of any violence or anything. I can tell you this: if it would have been beer and instead of weed, there would have been a lot of problems. There would have been fights and violence and all of that. But people were stoned and having a good time, sharing what little they had with complete strangers, and that was the beauty of it. Really, the music was secondary. And Stu has always said it. Music was secondary. It was really about the people, the fans there. That's what Woodstock is, and he's right. To be in that situation, and there isn't any food. There's no potable water. What are you going to do? You're going to have the best time you could possibly have under those circumstances.
Yeah,
terrific. It'll never happen again, unfortunately.
That's what I was thinking is, I don't know that there's a situation or even a culture or a people or anything that could withstand that kind of situation without some sort of violence now, and that's unfortunate. To have that many people in that space with no potable water, all of those, the mud, the kind of ugly situation. Nobody got ugly.
No,
How does that happen?
just a magic moment,
Mhm.
uh,
Very magical.
the circumstances became what they were. Uh, and what if there's a car in your way? What do? You walk around it,
Right.
or take a helicopter.
Yeah, there you go.
In this case, we had to take the helicopter, otherwise we wouldn't have gotten in.
Right, right. Pretty
Yeah,
great.
it was two guys at a time in a two-man helicopter. It was so there was. I mean, we had a guy flying it and two of us riding in. So two people at a time per trip. And it wasn't a real long distance from where we got on the helicopter to where we landed. But I'll never ever forget it. Just the wonder of it, seeing that many people. We said we've seen played for 100,000, 150,000. That was the year of the pop festival, so we'd seen big
Right.
crowds. So we had a pretty good idea visually what that number of people looked like. And as we came over that hill, just right at the perfect time when the sun's going down and make all the colors brighter.
Yeah.
And I looked at Johnny, he looked at me, he says, "There's at least four or 500,000 people here." They were not wrong. They were not wrong. What are we gonna do?
Wow. Crazy. That is just beautiful. It was a special moment in time for sure. And I think it changed the musical landscape as well as the festival type of landscape, where you could do this. It could be successful. And this is pretty great. Pretty great. Um, Janis followed your set, at 2 a.m. or something. Did you guys get out of it? Because you had the gig the next night. Did you get right out of there? And did you get to see any other set at Woodstock?
Janis was uh, as another artist. She was our biggest fan. She loved us because she's a Texas gal and she does what she does, rooted in the blues and powerfully rooted in her performance always. So when we were playing in town in San Francisco, that's where she was living, part of that scene. She would always be at the Fillmore or wherever we were playing to see it. She said, "I just love y'all," and we had planned to watch her set, but that was before things. We didn't have a ride. We didn't know how we were going to get out. Our main objective at that point was we've got to get to New Jersey and try and get some sleep and play that show. And that was what we did. So we missed her, but we saw her perform many times and would always spend time with her. One story with her, kind of funny, but it was kind of sad as well. She bought a brand new Porsche. I'm going to get in trouble there. And she always they would let her park her car backstage or in a safe area at the Fillmore, and so she threw her keys to the guy and she went to wherever she was going, probably out front to listen. The guy stole her car.
Oh no! Really?
It wasn't the right guy.
Wow.
Here
Oh,
you go. Thanks.
wow. She had to be pretty upset.
She always had her pint of Southern Comfort, and I said, "Oh, sweet whiskey." She was a sweetheart. She loved us. We loved her, and it was she went way too young.
Yep. Yep. As did many. You
Yeah.
know,
27-year club is not the one you want to be in.
no, definitely not. And you are not, and that's a beautiful thing. You know, yeah, not there are people that did make it, and it's you're a treasure, my friend. Really. Who would you say, you've been in the business, you've been on the musician side, you've been on the business side of things, probably more than you would want. Um, you've seen the ugly, you've seen the beautiful. Is there a person that you most admire in the business, in the music industry?
Well, there sure was one that I did admire, but he's passed, and that was Bill Graham. Bill Graham was the reason that there was a scene in the Bay Area, and terrific guy, and hard worker, a tough guy. I would never have wanted to cross his path, and that would never happen because we were friends and we were doing business. But a lot of times Hell's Angels would try to crash into the Fillmore, and he would just, there might be three of them, four of them, he'd go down and nose to nose with these guys. And I'm kind of going, gee, should I run or should I and try to help and get the shit beat out of me or get my hands hurt? Bill always took care of himself, but he always had the music first and foremost, and was very eclectic in the pairings of acts, different things that you would never ever imagine. Herbie Hancock and the California Youth Choir, things like that,
Yeah.
mixed jazz and rock, and it was always very interesting. There was always something very unique about his shows. When we played there several times, we the first time we played there it was gosh, it was I can't think of it, blues band, but and Steppenwolf. So Steppenwolf in the middle. We opened. We were the opening act because that was early in our career. We weren't at the stature where we ended up being number one. So we opened up, and it was just a thrill to be playing in the Fillmore Auditorium. That was our first time, and that closed the original Fillmore that weekend, and then they went to Winterland
Right.
and the Carousel Ballroom, and that became the new Fillmore, if you will. And but Bill Graham, he always had a great PA. He always had order in his house. He always, if you, and we were always on time. We were always sober, straight and sober. That was part of our deal. We made that pact in the Fillmore again with the Grateful Dead being involved. We saw them play, and we wanted to see what the competition was that we were up against, what was happening with the local bands.
Right.
We barely scraped together the $3 to get in, and we were starving musicians at that time. We did, and they came, and they were terrible because they were high on LSD, and they thought they were really playing great, and wasn't so great. And so we put our hands in, like athletes do, and we said, make a pact right now that anything to do with business, no alcohol or drugs. And we weren't a druggy band, so some weed, but that was, so that was it, straight and sober. And that meant whether it's a rehearsal or we're having a meeting about an audit that we're doing, but certainly the playing part, because it was the music that kept us together for 10 years, that's what we aspired to do. We wanted to be as good a playing band as we could be. And that took 100% of our being, focusing on the music.
Right.
And that's why we were able to be so prolific, because when, we put out 3 albums in 1 year and then toured behind it, there's not much time left to do anything.
Right.
And so, we did it, and did the best we could, and focused on the music. Let's get off on our instruments, playing together with the band, and it really worked. And I'm certainly proud of us. We pulled off the dream, and then some, but the work was always primary. It always took over egos. Well, took most of the time. That doesn't include the business part of it. We're not going there.
Right. No, we don't want to go there. It's been documented much too much. So
way too much. So let's talk about the good stuff. And we had we would come to the table or the rehearsal thing when we were in between. John was looking for songs, and throw in the ideas, and I had a lot of ideas because I was the only guy that didn't play guitar,
right,
and none of the other guys played drums, so I sort of got my way most of the time.
Yeah.
But I worked hard to make each note and each movement have value, musicality. When I do something, I'm not going to just do something for the sake of filling a hole. There has to be a reason, and there has to be a value in the note and or notes.
Mm-hmm.
Have to be as valuable or more valuable than the ones behind it.
Right.
And that was how I did it. And a lot of it was less is best. Just stick with the groove you're playing, and don't worry about it. But then there are times like Who Will Stop the Rain, that there's a lot of drum fills in there that weren't there, that John didn't like. But it would have been a pretty boring song without it.
Right.
And it was kind of unique, and it was close to a ballad as we ever got.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I just I worked hard and came up with that part, and then when I would change from that part, I would play the same root of that part, but I might come out of it a little bit differently. Right. But it was always what I'm talking about. And
yep. And that's a major thing with that song. I mean, it really makes it work.
Yeah, it really does, and I knew it did, and I spent a lot of time on my 4-track machine at home at night working on it, because we had other things to do. John didn't like it, so I wasn't going to play it until I perfected it, because otherwise he might put a stop to it. And he came down to it, and he didn't like it. And I just said, well, it works, and it makes the song stand out, and it gives it a personality, and it moves the song the way you want it to move. You don't know this yet.
Yeah.
It's your song, and I respectfully know that, but this is going to make it better.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, in the end, he says, I don't like it, but you go ahead and do it, which meant he knew. He wasn't going to tell me, though.
Right.
He just have to do it,
He wouldn't have let it go if he didn't like it that much. Is there one song, these songs, you're such an integral part of all of those classic songs. Is there one song in your career that means more to you than any other that you hold closest?
Well, yeah, there's actually two, but Born on the Bayou, that's my favorite Creedence song, and it's a quarter note song, just like Susie Q was a quarter note song.
Mhm.
And by taking those four quarter notes out from an eighth note pattern, uh, by making holes there, it makes it bigger.
Yeah, it gives it space for sure.
And really what it does, it makes the guitar, John's lead guitar work.
Hmm.
It has air and those beats instead of
Right. It gives it that guitar it gives the guitar a platform. Yeah, for sure.
I call it the crosscut saw.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one and then Grapevine.
Okay. Now, yeah.
I'm really stepping out and doing things I never did before.
On that one, yeah, that's and of course, such a classic song.
Yeah, yeah. It had a couple of successes with Motown and
Mhm.
Gladys Knight and having a brain fart, Marvin Gaye,
Yeah.
number one. Both had number ones with it, so
Yeah.
a double number oneer. That's a real tune.
It really is. That has to be something special when you see that happen. Uh, pretty, pretty incredible. Um, that talk about your dream, coming true. It's got to be the ultimate compliment to somebody pick up on the song and bring it make it their own and admire it that much.
Well, and we all the other bands said, we were a singles band, and we were a singles band. We had double-sided hit singles, and not many, Elvis, the Beatles, just a handful of people have been able to do that. We didn't do it on purpose. We put what we thought was an A side out and put another song on behind it, but they both ended up being A sides. And we were kind of, wow, we're burning the candle at both ends here. Which made the timing of all of it, cut it in half, because if we would have had a one, this record is the single and this is a B-side, and then you have the next one, this is a record and here's a B-side. Instead it was, here's the record, here's two B-sides, so you're getting
Right.
the time for the next one in half, and we were very, very busy, and so that just sped the whole process up.
Just a machine you were at that time. It was just unbelievable. I look back and it's an absolute hit machine, and they're just such great songs. They're into the fabric of American music. It's unbelievable. Um, you've done so much. You've done it all in the music business. Is there anything left for you that you really have always wanted to do, maybe, and have not, or something that you really want to accomplish?
Well, I'm doing that now. Nobody expects me to be able to write songs. Nobody expects me to be able to sing. In the case of Clifford Wright, I'm not singing in that, and I'm glad I'm not, because I got a great guy in there that I respect and admire and love listening to, Keith England. And but having my own label allows me to, and it goes on beyond that. It's like a publishing venture as well. All the songs that I'm recording or that are coming out from Cosmo's vault I've written. So I don't have anything from anybody else, so I can do what I want to do without stepping on anybody's toes. Why don't you have my record out? Because I've got my record out first. How about that? So I don't have to do that, and I don't have to have the label come out and say, "Well, we're going to hold that release." But I planned everything around it. I've done, logistics and all this. I have a plan now, and you're telling me I can't do it. I'm not going to do that to myself.
Yep. Yep.
So it's really cool. So now I have an outlet for my catalog, which hopefully will have some hits in it here pretty soon. So and that's the one thing I want to have value, not dollar value, but musical value out there, and have people say, "Wow, that's the drummer from Creedence. Who knew?"
Yeah.
So, and I love the process because I've played in a band for 60 years. My body says no more, no mas. And I do have Parkinson's, so I want to get, we got out in a time before it interfered with my work. So, but now, I've got Bob Frank and Sony Orchard as my big guns. If the little guy with the label says, I need some help over here, that I'll get it, because it's, they made a deal with me to distribute my music, and that means they like it, and that means a lot, especially a guy like Bob, who's been in the business and done it all from the business side of it, and he's got a great team, and to have all the opportunity, and I can do it out of my studio. That's my office and my work area. I can do it all out of my house.
Yep.
So,
Pretty great.
I am that's what I'm doing now, and I've just started doing it, and I've got a lot to learn, and but I've got a lot of opportunities to take advantage of people's experience and wisdom.
Yeah, that's so exciting. It really is. And who would have known? I know what you're doing back there in on that drum kit, and your writing abilities are great. There's no doubt about it. And anybody listening to these records, just two so far, can tell that these are great songs. They're really well written, really well played. Do you know when are you going to do one every year? Do you know?
Well, I'm not going to hamstring myself to just, I'm going to do it every year. We'll see how it's up to them. If they come out and they flop, well, I'm not going to wait a year for another one. I'm going to get that one out of there and start working on the next one, because there are things edits and things that I can do to the 2 tracks. These are all 2-track masters, so I don't have the multi-track to work with. So I have to work Pro Tools, and I have a great partner in that, Russell DeShield. Terrific guitar player. He's playing lead guitar on my solo album, and he's co-producing that. He played on that one. Now this one, Clifford Wright, Russell didn't play on it, but he did all the Pro Tools work. I said I want to do this, I want to do that. I'm not a good technical guy. I'm not there. My granddaughter, who's 11, and my granddaughter, who's 8, You need help, Grandpa, with the computer? Yes, I do.
Yeah, it is incredible, you know.
Okay, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So, so Russell's been working with me on it, and it's good to have somebody else there too, uh, who's got the musical side of it down. He's an excellent musician, and he's an engineer as well. So uh, that's how we'll judge it. We'll judge it on the performance of whatever it is that's out there. Hopefully, this Clifford Wright record will see the light of hits,
Hmm.
go up that Billboard chart,
Yep.
and then I think there's 4 singles in it, probably maybe even more, but that might be braggadocious. But but I really will listen to it, and and I don't usually listen as much as I listen to this record. Uh,
Mhm.
what I do, I do
Right.
something, I get it done, listen for a while just to see if it needs anything else, back to the vault,
Right. Right.
And, but this one I listen to it, and I listen to it like I'm a guy driving down the road in my car, and I hear that. I said, that is a hit. I'm tapping my foot here, and I like it. I want to hear it again on the radio. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it turns out. Hopefully, there will be more than a year's time between these things, which means it's doing well, and it's doing better than one single.
Right.
I'd like to do 2, 3 singles out of this, and I'm doing everything I can to get the word out. And we're doing it right now, and it's I've had dreams come true, so I believe in them. But I would always have to tell people that dreams are great, and you can be sitting on the couch and dreaming about this, dreaming about that, but it's not a real dream, or it's not going to be, if you don't get off the couch and start working, doing everything you possibly can to move that project forward, whatever it is. In my case, it's music and records. But no matter what the dream is, you have to be passionate, you have to be all in, and you have to give it 120% all the time. And you got to work for it. Otherwise, it's what does it mean?
Yeah.
What's the value of that?
Right.
You wasted time just thinking about how great something might be and do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And they say, my dreams didn't come true. Well, maybe if you would have been proactive.
Right. Yep. Yep.
You
And
got
you have for so many years, and you have made many dreams come true, and it's so great to see, and having you share your talents and your abilities with the world is really something special. You've enriched so many people's lives. We love you and appreciate you for it.
Well, I love you and appreciate you and all of our fans for it. I mean, how lucky are we that we have 3 generations of fans? Who does that?
It's
I can think of only a few. Elvis, the
Yep.
Beatles,
Right.
and not too many. And we saw that with Revisited. Stu and I would look out at our audiences and see a lot of young people
Yep.
out there singing, and they're engaged in it. They know they know the words to the songs.
Yep.
I'd like to have that.
It is timeless. It really is. And yeah, I wish you much success, my friend, for all the money in the world. And I say the title of the album, and I can't help but think of the melody of the song. It's that catchy, it's just that much ingrained in the song. It's just is really something special. For all the money in the world, it comes out on August 27th. And Cos, it's always a pleasure, and I hope we can reconnect on the next one. And I wish you all the best.
Well, thanks, Scott. And I think if you go and it's all any and all download outfits where you can get this single. But I think if you do that, you can also get a lock on the album, and or maybe and I've got to see if this is in place yet. You could hear things from the album. So when that is in place, I'll let you know so people can. You won't have to wait till the 27th of August to hear some more of these tracks.
Fantastic. Yeah.
You know, my old pal Steve Miller loves You Told Me So.
Yeah.
He wrote me an email and he just said, "Whoa, brother."
That is cool.
And I said, I knew you would like that one.
Yeah. It's so great. It's so great to see you putting out music, and we reap those benefits. As fans, we love to hear what you've got going on, and it's always a pleasure. Absolutely.
It's always a pleasure talking to you.
You too. You too.
I think I sent you an email at one point in time. It said,
yeah, you made my career, my life spin around. You know, you gave me I'll never forget it, and I'm gonna get emotional here. But you told me that it was the last review, that it was the best review that you've ever gotten.
the nicest thing that anyone's ever said to me about it.
I just, you know, that means so much to me. You know, coming from yourself, I don't even know how to react to something like that. It's so special to hear that, and it absolutely means the world to me. I'll hold that close to me for the rest of my life.
Well, I'll tell you what, I just went, wow, I read it and I got a little emotional. And I said, man, this is so cool and the nicest thing. I gotta email this guy.
Yeah, it's I have that saved, and it's something I treasure immensely. Because you mean so much to me. Your music, everything about you, your stance on things, your fairness, the way you treat people, just everything. I love you, my friend. I don't know how else to tell you how much you mean in my world. It's something special. I appreciate you.
Likewise, as well. I love you too, and the work you're doing, and I've said it in a podcast here lately. You know, rock and roll will never die. And I people say, you know, it's that's going to happen. It's not going to happen, you know, it's
No.
And we are the custodians of that now, and have to make it keep it alive.
Yep. And you know, we'll always have what you've done already. You know, that alone will keep generations and generations and lifetimes of rock and roll alive. There's no question to me. And you continue to make music and continue to put music out. It's automatic. It's automatic.
I'll have to write a song called "It's Automatic." I like that.
That would be pretty special. Because I can't wait for the next time we can reconnect, and I wish you all the best, to you and your family, and so special to have you. Thank you.
Pleasure's mine, Scott, as always.
All right. We will be in touch. All right.
Peace.
Take care, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.